Welcome to the Snap. I am Ruby Red.
And I am definitely not Rose Bloom.
Looks a little different this week.
Yeah, it's the
Rose-
Zen Master.
This is the Zen Master. He's actually the reason that you are watching us now, so thank you for that.
Stop it.
So, what are we talking about this week?
Kanye West. He got an album about to drop, so he had to spice things up a bit.
I've noticed he's going through his Rolodex of philosophy in his head on
Yeah.
Twitter lately.
He had to come back. He could at least switch the Abby up. That's the same Abby from Twisted Dark Fantasy. But he dropped a controversial tweet about what's the girl's name? Candace what now?
Candace Owens.
Candace Owens saying I like the way she thinks. I didn't know who the motherfucker was. I had to look her up.
Mm-hmm. And I'd rather not know who she was, but she came across my radar actually sometime back in August, right around the Charlottesville time, and I wouldn't ordinarily want to give her any kind of a platform or any kind of recognition, but Kanye's got kind of a big platform.
So it's already gone down.
That's where it needs to be addressed. So what do you know about her?
Well, I googled the motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, from start first. So it's like, okay, I took my research of her in context of the tweet. So it was like, okay, he says I like the way she thinks. So let me see what is she saying? Like, how does she think? So first thing I did was I went to YouTube and put her name in there and then watched what the fuck she was posting.
Mm-hmm.
So
How did that go?
it was weird. So first, I'll say I understand what he means when he says I like the way she thinks, because I like the way she thinks. I just don't like what she thinks.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you if that was ask you about that, because I had a similar reaction to the tweet, like that gives him an out to say I didn't say I agree with her. I just said I like the way she thinks. If he ever wanted to
Well,
say it like that.
Because the thing about that is that it feels like I think he did that for the purpose of having motherfuckers want to invite him onto shows to explain the tweet. Because like I said, nigga got an album coming out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so that explains so even if that is a genuine feeling, especially with him being so good with words, it's like he knows he could have added like one more sentence to that tweet to explain exactly what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But he chose not to because,
And none of the rest of them really addressed her specifically.
Yeah, it's just randomly, I like the way she thinks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, But, so first I felt like, okay, this girl's like a black Tommy Lauren, as you also described her.
Mm-hmm.
And so secondly, it was like, okay, so I get why he would say that, but it's like also, she seems smart, but at the same time, it's like, it's something that I don't like what people do, is like, she exposes how smart she is, and then she just says dumb shit, and it's like, okay, cool. I could accept some of the shit she was saying coming from a stupid person, but she's not stupid. So it's like, okay, you're purposely putting out either opinions with facts missing, or you're just making shit up. You know what I'm saying? And so it was like, then it came to like, well, what is she doing that for? Like, what is her goal? So to me, it seemed like she's trying to go viral, and she's more pandering to a certain audience. And, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like she really is passionate about the shit she's saying. I just feel like she's just a contrarian, or,
Yes, a contrarian
and a
view.
troll, and it's just for the fuck of it. Like,
Yes.
she is who Stacey Dash thinks she is.
Oh my
Like,
God!
so
Yes,
that's-
exactly. That's kind of where I feel. I feel like she has to have some kind of knowledge of what the reality of any situation that she addresses is. She also knows that on social media, what is going to get a response and shares is something that appeals to an emotional response.
Because the thing about that to me, where it's like, I'm kind of, what really turned me off from her is when I Googled her and looked at her background, that's her background. She has a background in like marketing and shit like that, like working for journalism and all kinds of stuff. Like she has a background of.
So she knows exactly.
She knows what she's doing. So it's like this isn't, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's the lack. If she was genuine with the conservative thought, 'cause I know like plenty of black conservatives. I know plenty of them. You know what I'm saying? Sit down and have mad conversations with them. I'm just like, but she's so like over the top with it and just pretending to be passionate. You know what I'm saying? Like fake hate. You know what I'm saying? Don't really get you nowhere. You know.
That's a really good point.
Get you. It earns you real hateful followers, and I don't think she really. You know what I'm saying? You know.
Well, she got really upset about her followers when Twitter did that huge like bot purge. She lost 3,000 followers and seemed to be pretty irate about that fact. She got really mad that Twitter was deleting her followers. And I don't know if it was just that she wasn't acknowledging that they were probably bots, which means that they probably liked her because they saw that that would push forward discord in the Twitter sphere, or if she thought that they were really like legitimate people, which a few legitimate people did get deleted off of Twitter, but they were reinstated after pleading their case.
I mean, yeah, but you know, it goes back to us talking about like she's what 28, so she's of this generation of social media. Like we had to adapt to where that shit is as soon as she was in high school with fucking social media, so she knows those are 3,000 bots. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But she knows complaining about this shit also makes her seem like I'm so controversial. They're deleting my followers. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, you know, like I said, it's not genuine. Mm-hmm. So you know, that's a piece of it.
And that appeals to a lot of that.
Everybody want to be a victim. Everybody want to be oppressed. And everybody want to feel like, oh, I'm being oppressed because of who I am. You know, everything black people do looks cool as shit, and we've been
But
oppressed.
her message is don't be a victim.
There are so many hypocrisies. You know. But I mean, so it's just like it's taking that, so where it's like, hey, look at us. They're silencing us. We're victims over here. You know what I'm saying? It's just like she used them. Like she knew what they were doing. They were racing bots. Like everybody knew about this shit. Well, wait a minute. So what did you think when you first? Because you said, so how did you find out about her? Because like I said,
Okay.
I found out about her from Kanye's tweet. So how did you find out about her?
So I found out about her sometime last summer, around mid-August, right around the time that Charlottesville happened. And there was, you know, a few days after Charlottesville where everybody was like, this is awful, this is terrible. And then suddenly I kind of watch my social media whenever there are issues that happen that fall along a polarized issue, such as, you know, white supremacists in khaki shorts and polo shirts, or, you know, gun violence, or something that has to do with Black Lives Matter. I will watch where whatever the tragedy is, there will be a couple of days where people are pretty, well, it'll seem like everybody's in agreement, but there's a deafening silence on whatever side of that issue. And then a few days later, it's like they've recharged their contrarian view battery and start shooting out
Bullshit.
Yes. heavy bullshit. So the first time she came around on my radar, I noticed that there were 4 or 5 of my more conservative leaning friends that were sharing a video talking about how Nazis and the KKK aren't an everyday issue for Black people, and therefore it's a non-existent issue, and nobody has any problems in the real world. They don't affect anybody's lives. So why are people just whining about it? It's like an onslaught of bullshit. Like it'll be, oh, well, I can see where, yeah, there's a small number of these people, you know, that are just scattered around the nation. That's fine. But they're getting a national platform and they're regularly feeling more emboldened, and that makes them kind of
It's just, you know,
it's very frustrating.
yes, and that's why it's like it's hard for me. So I kind of tune out from people when I sense that you're not being genuine. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm like, it's my main problem with her is that like regardless of how she feels. So I'm pretty sure that she's more like, I think she's like a conservative for real, but I think that she's just pandering and just being like a character. You know what I'm saying? As to where it's like, okay, so she's smart enough to be like, okay, well, they're not a big problem. Why are we worried about them? But then she'll turn around and do a whole rant on Black Lives Matter. So if you know what I'm saying, like if the size is what you're talking about, like if there's 6,000 motherfuckers that you're talking about in Charlottesville, why are you worried? Why would you do like a whole thing about like 200 people that's in a city somewhere? You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna rant about these 200 black people like they're a problem, but then when it comes to the 6,000 white people, you're like, oh, they're not a problem at all.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, so it's like that's where it's just when your logic gets suspended when you're talking about white folks. It's like, so you'll go in on the black people over here and you base it on certain logic and shit, but then when it comes to the white people, it's like your logic is suspended and no longer, so it's like, shouldn't that shit still apply? And like I said, it's like, if she was dumb, I would be able to let this shit slide, but it's just like, okay, so you know what the fuck you're doing. You know, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she came on my radar, and I've seen a couple more of her videos come through my feed. Now, when I go and I look at the videos, I like looking at people's pages or whatever the source is, and then kind of going and looking into the comments. And now I kind of look to see if I can find, you know, these bot methods. But I know everybody says
away.
Don't go to the comments.
I stays away.
Here's what I use the comments for. I don't use the comments to inform me based on what the people in the comments are saying. I don't use those as my new mantras or anything. I look at who's commenting, what do these people look like, where are they, and what is the general flow of where their comments are going. And why do I do this? I do this because there's something called confirmation bias. I can see where the general thought pattern is. So if I go and I look at comments on TED Talk videos, there's going to be a lot of really like intellectual discussion, and there's going to be a variety of voices in those comments. I already know that. I can look. If I go and I look on Neil deGrasse Tyson's posts, if you go look through anything that he puts up, a lot of it'll be really good discussion, because
That's
the
who it
comments
attracts.
that the
Yeah.
comments that aren't on that level they're not going to be there, because they can't.
They can't keep up. Yeah.
No. Something my grandpa always told me was, the truth will stand on its own. It doesn't
the
need to be
journalist, right?
propped up. Yes.
Okay.
He was a journalist. He did a lot of the foundational work in Tallahassee's journalism with the Florida State School of not School of Music, that's my dad. Florida State's journalism school. He, I want to say, he was one of the first people to start the radio station, or he definitely got them up to technological speed. And he did a lot of the same things with the Tallahassee Capitol House. He got the cameras into Tallahassee.
Look at you spreading information,
Capitol.
keeping the family legacy going.
So I know a little bit about, you know, how that stuff operates. He was very, very brilliant man on many levels. But one of the things that I've always taken with me in life is he's always told me that the truth will stand on its own. It doesn't need you to campaign for it most of the time. It's, you know, you can tell me that water's not wet, but, you know, but it kind of is. That's what it is.
Shout out to Jay Cruz of
Yeah.
the Waiting on Stupids podcast.
It's if I step into water, I'm not gonna walk out dry unless I've got that new hydrophobic paint or whatever that makes it so that nothing wet stays on it, but that keeps all the wet water off of it. I don't
But it's
need
like the,
anybody to tell me that water is wet.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. But people are afraid to be pissed off. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
So if you look in the comments and you see these, to bring it back to that, I would see there were a lot of there were three very common criteria that I noticed among people that were sharing this. Number one was I only saw conservative people sharing this. I saw one person that's kind of they share things that they think resonate with them for the most part, and I kind of that's a good pulse on that. That's kind of where I keep the pulse on what's reaching out to people that aren't following the news 24/7 and aren't following social media 24/7 or aren't following the one that's kind of outside of all of that. When I see them sharing stuff like that, I don't really take, that's a one exception. But the rest of them will be usually white, usually conservative, and 3 out of 5 times male. And how does
It's a sidebar. I have noticed that a lot of male white supremacists have like a black girl fantasy thing, where it's like they want to have like a pet black girl, and that she really like fits into that pet black girl mode. Like I said, when I was Googling her, I had noticed that she's from Stamford, Connecticut. I don't think there's many black folks out there. So it's like, so she's pretty much, she's used to this role. She knows her audience. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, like you say, it's rich white conservatives, and that like she knows her audience, so she knows how to whisper to them and tell them what they want to hear to make them share the shit. So like, there's so much that she's drawing from that. But anyway,
But
sorry, that was a sidebar. I apologize.
That's a very interesting trope.
That's just me doing my Zen Master thing. I apologize.
I was not aware of that trope. That's
it's a lot of it. Have you seen
for it now?
Yeah, have you seen the video of the black girl? And it was like I think after Trump got elected, like her boyfriend was just going crazy with all this racist white power shit, and she's filming him like, you sound like a racist. But he was saying straight up racist shit, and instead of saying like, you're a racist, she's like, you sound racist. Like, nah, baby, your boyfriend is a racist, but he had that black girl on his arm though. Like that's a thing, yeah.
It's I work with someone who was talking about Colin Kaepernick, who's another one of Miss Owens' favorite punching bags. Her husband is black, and she was starting the sentence out with, look, I'm not racist. My husband is black and my kids are mixed. So, I can say this, but he's only like doing this, for money, which what?
Yeah.
What? She said it doesn't have anything to do with...
I had to learn to stop talking to people like that.
It's a really quick way to shut down a conversation with me, because I don't know why, but I have a lot of people that will start conversations like that with me, assuming that I'm going to agree with them, and I will...
All right, not to be on some tooting horns up in here, but you have the same problem. Well, I mean, it's a gift and a curse that I have, where it's like, all right, you're obviously smart, and you're opinionated, and dare I say, well-spoken. I'm not a racist, but you're very well-spoken. And so what happens is, it's like people kind of, it's like Muhammad Ali, motherfuckers want to spar with the champ. So it's like they come to you with this shit. This is why it's like you asked me earlier before we started recording, you asked me, where do I get my news from? And I just sit down and wait for the news to come to me, because people want to spar with me. They want to be like, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, what happened? You know what I'm saying? So that's how I find out what's going on, because people are always bringing things to my attention. And that's kind of like, that's why people feel like they come to you with a lot of wild shit, because they want the smart girl to agree with them. They want that,
God, that
pat on the back,
me.
good job. They want that from you.
I hadn't even considered like that aspect of it, and I'm still going to demur a little bit on that. I'm not 100% sold on that idea, but I could see on some subjects, yes, but like on other subjects, I don't know where they where they get the idea that I'm going to say, you know what, that's right, and this is why you're right. Well, okay, fine. I guess I just proved your point on that.
Zen Master, baby.
So why would a white conservative sharing Candace Owens be confirmation bias? Because you are seeing someone that is not like you sharing an opinion that you have in common with them. Marketing campaigns. You said her background was in marketing?
Something like that. Like, Google her and you'll see what I mean. Like, even if it wasn't marketing, but she worked for magazines, she worked for fashion designers. Like, getting that information out and creating a buzz is a part of her past. So even if it's not particularly marketing, is she's been around buzz creating where the company's culture was, let's make sure motherfuckers share this, see this, blah blah blah.
So I just finished an audiobook by his last name is Cialdini. I want to say it's Richard or something like that, or Robert. But he was talking about the ways that influence works, and one of the things about influence and how you get influence in there is if you have common there are elements to it, and one of them would be liking. So, or being like, if you see someone that looks like you saying a message that you agree with, or saying something, you're going to be able to relate to that person. If that person looks like you and they're telling you something that goes against that, you're more likely to listen to them because you have something that is in common with them. I think one of the reasons that she's taking off is because she's able to maybe not look like them, kind of the flip side of it, that she doesn't look like them, because yes, I've looked at all of her followers. There is a majority among them. She doesn't look like them, but what they like about her, or what is like them about her, is her message affirms what they want to believe. And that is a huge like the elephant in the room with media and politics and a lot of things lately is confirmation bias. It's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about the algorithms on the last episode, because those algorithms are set up to promote confirmation bias for the most part. So if you see something that agrees with something that you just feel, or you just know emotionally regardless of facts, or you just know for some reason that this is how it is, it doesn't matter how much evidence or how much other stuff that is thrown your way. The second you see someone that appeals to that base thought pattern,
cling to it.
you're going to grab onto it, and some will share it immediately. And one of the most subversive things about Candace Owens is that it's almost like, to me, it feels like people share it so they can go, look, I'm not racist. I think she's really smart. Or
that's a part of it.
Which
That's a huge part of it. Because that's very important to, because one of the things that I've noticed about like you said, her audience, because I'll say a good, because I just found out about it recently, so I'll say like a good chunk of her audience are the white supremacists that don't know they're white supremacists, because it goes back into when we talk about conditioning and how like you see and do so much things because you were conditioned that way because of the society around you, like you say, the cult-like behavior that we're trying to snip you out of us. And so it's a piece of that, which is why I'm like, I find myself being like, once I've discovered that, I became a little bit more patient with the white supremacists that don't know they're white supremacists, and I'll try to like, all right, well, I'll try to have a conversation with you, but if you can't have a conversation, I'm just gonna stop talking to you. But you know what I'm saying? It's not no hatred. I just understand you don't even know what the fuck is wrong with you. You don't even think something's wrong with you. So it's like, so to them, part of it is that they have all these racist feelings and ideas, but they don't know they're racist, so they don't feel racist. And then when this girl comes around, it's like, okay, cool. Hey, everybody, I'm not racist. It's like they have to keep. That's part of the thing they have to pump is, I'm not racist, but you know what I'm saying.
And I think part of it is that the words racist or misogynist or xenophobic or transphobic, they've been used so much, and almost always to imply malintent. And there are some that do. There are some people that definitely are feel that way and feel justified in that belief, and they do have a malintent. But the majority of, a lot of societies, but the majority of America, they're not going to be able to see why people would argue that something is racist, because it's all around them. It is, you know.
Well, it's a thing where it's like it's levels to shit, and people only want to look at the highest level. So it's like to them, Hitler is the highest level of racism. So to them, as long as I'm not Hitler, I ain't killed nobody, so I'm not racist. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. You know,
I'm not marching these people off to gas chambers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I can't be a racist, you know? It's like, you know. So
I'm not advocating them to not be in our society.
yeah, so it's like it's a lot of that, like, you know, so that also goes into all of it, homophobia, transphobia, all of it. It's like when people look at the extreme, like, well, I'm not out here doing this and that, so I can't be homophobic. And it's like, you know, yeah. So.
You know, one of the clearest things that I always share this story. I feel like I always share this story. There are things that you don't even realize you're doing that can come across as harmful, or can cause people that you know to shut you out of you know, things that they want to share with you. So it was either high school, late high school, or right after graduating. You know, everybody was using, oh, that's gay, that's gay, that's gay, when they would say something, or just go gay, you know, just using that word. And I was using it in a conversation just because that's just how everybody else around, that was the vernacular of everybody else around me. You know, I was using it in a conversation, and my friend goes, so I want to ask you, are you saying that's gay because you think it's a bad thing? And does that mean you think like gay people are bad, or being gay is bad? And I like, it was like a record scratch moment in my head, like, why am I saying that? It's the way that people talk, you know? And there are other words that have gone, you know, out the window that people don't use anymore, because it just takes someone to, you know,
Bring awareness to your
just
dumb
apply
shit.
that logic to what you're blind to.
Yeah.
What you're saying, what you're parroting, what you are putting out for people to latch on to.
And how it all contributes to the culture of hatred itself. And, yeah.
And so from that, I found out that one of my friends had not come out to me. I found out that he was gay when we went to, you know, I had always kind of suspected, but we went to a restaurant or something and sat down, and there was another gay guy there, and he was talking to my other friend about it, like in front of me, and I was like, it hurt because he hadn't told me, and he was one of my best friends. And it was like all of that just like coalesced in my head. Oh, he didn't say that because things that I do make him feel like I'm not safe to say this to.
Yeah.
You know, and
Did you guys ever talk about it?
I don't know that we talked about that aspect specifically. There was another issue.
Still friends with him? You should.
There was another issue that came up down the road involving rent money, and
It's always the moolah that gets in between the friends.
I did not stop that. There was even like a time when I tried to reach out and be like, look, I don't care about the money. I just, you know, I kind of miss you as a friend a lot, you know. So no, that never recovered from that. But, you know, prior to that, you know, we were pretty inseparable for years. And that was one of those moments that hurt, to think, I'm not homophobic. I'm not, you know, and that wasn't even a term out in the world at that point, in any kind of common usage. But
So how long were you guys friends before you found out?
Like ninth grade through, I guess this would have been, when I was about 20. My first roommate.
That's about 5 to 6 years.
Yeah. But those were like my core, like your core years, your high school years, or like your formative years. That was, you know, one of my best friends in high school.
Yeah.
So, but that was one of those things that, you know, if you just you're not aware of your habits or behaviors that show the people in that out group that you are not safe to approach, or you are not you're not safe.
Or not even that you're not safe, but also it could be like because something that happens with me, I'm guilty of this like a motherfucker. But a lot of times, shit like that, like how he was looking at you, might have been like how I'll look at a motherfucker like, okay, I'm up here, you're down here, I'm not talking to you. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in 2018, you still in fucking 1975. Like,
Yes, and
You know what I'm saying?
and having like opinions like that, you can just think there's I don't have time to be professor today.
yeah, basically, that's what happened. Yeah,
Like maybe on another day, but I don't have time to be professor today. I have a load of books that I can push your way. I have a load of videos and information and podcasts that I can shove your way, but I don't have time for it right now. It would even take too much time just to push that stuff their way.
yeah. Curing ignorance gets kind of exhausting,
Yes.
especially if it's like
But if you can
just
find those
one
little
way.
nudges here and there, those are nice. But
All right, but yeah, but I don't want to like make this whole thing just bashing the girl, because I gotta admit, okay, some of the stuff she was saying, I can say I agree with. Like I said, my whole problem with the girl is that she's not genuine. So because it brings in another problem about fame and the fame monster. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you can see it because she's controversial anyway, just with her.
she's getting positive reinforcement. That's a basic
Yeah.
psychological rule. She's getting positive reinforcement for what she's doing, but she's also well aware of how social media works.
Yeah, so it's like it seemed like it's like because if you, I don't know the chronological order of the videos that I was watching, but I can tell like it feels like some of the stuff that I was watching, I could tell like, okay, this must be early on when she first started, and this must be later, because it's like it seemed like she just had these ideas where I'm like, I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense. Like she had this thing about get rid of white guilt, which is something that I've been saying for a long time. I would be like, because it's like there's an argument that would happen when I used to like actually have conversations with the white supremacists that didn't know they were white supremacists, where you know they a lot of times there'd be this argument of like I'm supposed to feel guilty for something that I didn't do, and I had to stop, and I would always shut them down with the who's asking you to be guilty, who told you to be guilty, like your guilt wouldn't like nobody asked you to be guilty. Do you feel guilty? Why do you feel guilty? Like that's something going on in yourself. Don't put that on me. I'm not asking you to feel guilty, because like that white guilt really causes a whole lot of. And she has a whole video about like how it's fucking y'all up, and it's just like it is. This is like causing white people to argue with white people about just randomness, and it's just like then it also causes on the opposite side, it causes the white boys to do the whole, like you said, I'm not racist thing. You know what I'm saying? That's the white guilt that's fucking with them. And so I felt like, yeah,
Because they know being racist is a bad thing to be, or considered a bad thing to be, but they want to believe this.
Well,
or-
the
or
guilt,
they-
the guilt ties into how when they look historically at all the fucked up shit that's happened, it's like they can also look at themselves like, oh shit, I contribute. Just like how you saying gay contributes to gay people being looked at as a second class, because you know you're able to deal with it in yourself. Like there's, you know what I'm saying? It's like everybody can't deal with that. Like, oh shit, I'm the bad guy. So it's like the way they deal with, oh shit, I'm the bad guy, going, oh shit, I'm not the bad guy. No, I can't be the bad guy.
That is
You know
a
what I'm
more
saying?
genuine approach to how I think people should see that. Like you can recognize a behavior and recognize that you're contributing to it. The only thing you have to do is stop doing it.
Yeah, so like instead of
You don't have to beat yourself up about it. Just recognize it,
Yeah, it's
acknowledge it however you need to acknowledge it to yourself to realize, oh, I see this is how I'm contributing to that. I see that, wearing, I can see how having a giant Confederate flag waving around on the highway might make someone else feel like they're not completely safe at all times in the area where that flag is.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just recognize it. It doesn't mean, it's not a judgment on you personally. but it is a judgment on you, or
And not to mention, when you think about the judgment is you judging yourself. All right, go ahead and let's wrap this thing on up.
all right. Well, so that's going to be it for our conversation today. If you like us, be sure to share our videos. Like us on Instagram at The Snap Podcast. Like us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at The Snap Podcast. You can send email questions or comments or stories or any kind of personal thing that you want to share that you think people need to have a perspective shift on. I love stories like that. I love having the gears in my head shift. Email us at thesnappodcast@gmail.com, or you can comment on our videos. Just make sure you like and subscribe. Ring the bell to get notifications. You're going to like and subscribe on YouTube to
We Ain't No Stupids.
Stupids. And you can also subscribe to We Ain't No Stupids on iTunes, Google Play, anywhere you listen to podcasts. That is Zen Masters Podcast. I like it. I like listening in on their conversations. They're always they always have little truth bombs or just it's just like listening in on somebody's conversation, but a really smart conversation, because
Yeah, we have serious discussions about silly shit and silly discussions about serious shit. We ain't no stupids.
so
Yeah.
that's it.
All right.
Bye.
It's time for y'all to open up your minds. As virgin needs are revealed to reality, realize what you now see is not what